everybody. Welcome to Ms.Interpretations. My name is Maren, and this is my virtual campfire. And today I am bringing you Ichabod. Hey,
You,
Brady, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on your channel. Excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're able to be here. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while about a lot of things. So
Good stuff.
this is really great. I'm going to pull up a comment so I can see everybody and say
Yeah, I see
hi.
Pragmatic Crystal. What's happening? Way to human. Good to
Yay!
see you folks.
Hey AJ, good to see you all. And Free Bashir. Okay, so I don't know if you
I have no idea what that is.
do you know Holly Hawk. She's been in
Mm-mm.
a lot of things, but that is from that's from I think it was from Bad Science Sunday, Maya
Okay.
Atkinson's, and it was a really bad AI
Mm.
video that Kip Davis was watching with her, and since AI has trouble uh, writing real words,
Mm.
that was something that that came on. So anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Shout out. What's
so
up, Truxton? Good to see you.
all right. So you bringing some friends tonight, are you? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's good. Same, same. So, all right, everybody. If you don't know, this is Ichabod, and you have an amazing background. Kind of want to be like you when I grow up, but we're probably the same age. But anyway, I I can't exactly remember how I found you. I watch a whole lot of um, basically deconstruction, deconverted types
Hmm.
of folks on YouTube, and so I'm sure I found you that way. And actually, you invited me on
Yeah.
your channel, and that was my very first live ever. And look at me now, I'm doing lives of my own,
Yeah.
really fun.
And the glow
But
up.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed watching your content. And
Mm.
everybody, if you're not subscribed, please do. Pragmatic Crystals put in all the links, so go look at that. And yeah, one of the things that's fascinating to me is your conversations with Christians. So
Mm.
I want to get into that with you tonight. But before that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into doing what you're doing here on YouTube?
Yeah, yeah. You talk about my fascinating background and the life I've lived. I feel like I've lived three lives at this point. Because I grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia. Um, had one life for about a good 15 years, and around 15 years old, I became a Christian, and I was born again. Even though we don't believe anymore that there's any such thing as a spiritual rebirth of being born dead in sin and trespasses or anything like that, but psychologically, it really is a rebirth
Mm,
because as a Christian,
yeah.
you're taught to reject your first birth. I mean, you've been on the earth how many years, and you're sort of just conditioned to, oh, that was trash. No good thing dwells within you. Your righteousness is filthy rags. So you kind of
Hmm.
look back and you know poop on your first birth, and now you receive the word of God like a newborn babe, and so you sort of infantilize yourself and become this new thing, and you have to think about everything brand new. The way you deal with money, think about it in a new way, the way you deal with your anger. And some of it is healthy because maybe you had some unhealthy ways of dealing with things.
Hmm.
And so I felt like
Did you say how old you were?
I was around 15, 16
Okay.
when I began to take my faith seriously, the Christian faith seriously, I should say.
Okay.
So that was life two, my rebirth as a Christian. Um, and grew in that for 30 years and traveled the world. At some point, I became a Christian rap artist and traveled the world doing that. I became an author, became a evangelist, became an apologist, and did that for about 30 years, gained a name and notoriety and a career and a legacy. And then went to seminary to become a better apologist. And
Yeah.
in seminary, I learned to ask more penetrating questions about this thing that I've been telling everyone all over the world that you must believe,
Yeah.
and began to deconstruct and deconvert in 2015. And now here I am 10 years later living my third life as a unchristian,
Yeah.
regaining who I was and just who I am as a human being. And so wrote a book called Let There Be Gaslight, because I felt like the Christians that I was talking to, I got questions.
Mhm.
I felt like they were gaslighting me with their answers. And I could have just left. I was setting up my life to just live I was going to just walk away from my Christian rap career,
Mhm.
walk away from the church and all that. But then something said, okay, you can do that. But what about all these other people that you led to Jesus?
Mhm.
And I just felt like it would be unethical. And I know there are probably some Christians who think, oh, what do atheists care about ethics? It was extremely unethical in my mind to walk away and not tell other people we've been lied to. And here's some questions you should ask. And here's how you can know they're gaslighting you. And so I wrote the book and then started the podcast just to have these conversations and have community with people
Right.
who are seeing the same thing and thinking the same thing. And so that's pretty much me.
Right. Well, that's excellent. I was going to ask you, um, why you wrote the book "Let There Be Gaslight," and I had a feeling that it had to
Mm,
do with um, being able to explain more why, why you left, why
yeah.
why you changed your mind, why, um, and the struggles with that, and y'all, I'm telling you, you need to get this book. It's really been very helpful to me.
Mm,
It's interesting to just kind of hear your story, and we've chatted about this too. That I went to grad school in religion as well, and and I was going to go kind of the academic route and get
mm,
a PhD in religion and teach religion, right? But it was because I was
mm.
such a I wanted to know more
Yeah.
about Christianity. I wanted to know about my faith. I wanted to understand everything, and so yeah. So but man, my deconstruction started then. It
Mm,
was I worked for a little while after college, but then I went back to grad school,
hmm.
um, and so my deconstruction started decades ago. But my deconversion really didn't
Mm.
happen until last year,
Wow.
which yeah, because was able to
Yeah.
explain away, I gaslight myself, I guess, in a
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can think about
Well, see, here's the
that.
thing. I feel like I deconverted first and
Hmm.
then deconstructed later. My deconversion
Oh
happened
wow.
in an instant in an Old Testament theology class at Westminster Theological Seminary, because the professor he wasn't advocating for evolution, but
Hmm.
he wasn't as adversarial and combative with the idea that I thought he should be.
So
And I
you were creationist as far as
oh
your
yeah, oh
Christian
yeah.
background? Oh,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I was a Christian. I was an evangelical Christian.
okay, yeah,
And evangelical Christians, as far as I knew, didn't countenance evolution kindly at all. And
yeah.
so I had read one former professor at the school who did believe in evolution, and I wrote a paper just completely tearing his whole thing apart.
Oh
And
wow,
I thought I had done such a great job.
yeah.
Then I got into this Old Testament theology course, and this professor was talking like I said, he wasn't advocating for evolution, but he just didn't have the kind of uh, animosity towards it that I thought he should have.
Mm,
And then something just said to me, well, what if the reason why he's not fighting against it is because it's true? Like, and I allowed myself just to think for a moment, well, if it's true, then what? What would you find in the
whoops,
Bible?
yeah,
And as soon as I asked that question and started thinking, the class is still going on around me.
yeah.
The professor's still going on, but what would you find in the Bible if something else explains the beginning better? Well, then the Bible, at least in that
Hmm.
portion of it, couldn't be true. At least in that portion
Gotcha.
of it couldn't be literal. Maybe it's true, but just not literal. But then that would explain contradictions. That would explain, and then in an instant, it was almost like I saw the next 25 years of my life in an
Really?
instant. And I had to ask myself, wait, well, if something else would explain not just how we all got here, but why the Bible is so contradictory, and why you need to learn Hebrew and Greek, and God just can't speak to you now. And there were so many things that I just said it would make perfect sense, and it scared me. And
Mm.
it's almost like the logic clicked, and I said, "Oh, well, then this isn't true."
Wow.
And
Wow.
I felt in a moment my belief gone. That was 2014, 2015. And I snatched it back and said, don't ever think that thought again. I
Wow.
knew it had happened, but I told myself, don't dwell on that. You're
Hmm.
here. Maybe you'll get better answers from another professor, but I couldn't deny that it had happened. And then it took me 10 years to deconstruct after that moment. I think in that moment I
Yeah.
deconverted.
Wow. Wow. Have you talked to anybody else that's happened like that for you?
I have, and it Joshua Bowen, Dr. Josh,
Oh,
with Digital
really? Yeah.
Hammurabi. I
Yeah.
was just at some point I started looking at videos of Alex O'Connor, then Matt
Mhm.
Dillahunty. Then I found Joshua Bowen, and when he told his deconversion story, he was taking questions after he told the story.
Mhm.
And one of the questions, it was a live video. One of the questions from one of the watchers was, how long from you realizing that Daniel could not have been historical, how long from that moment until you deconverted? And I thought he was going to say like maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
He said, in all earnestness, he said, it was about a half hour.
Oh, wow.
From the time he realized that Daniel couldn't be historical to the time that he said it was about a half. I mean, he had been in
Wow.
ministry. He was learned
Yeah.
all these biblical languages and Near Eastern language. Half hour. I said, "Yo, me too, and so and eventually we ended up talking, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'll have to ask him about that. I'm actually taking his Akkadian class, uh, and I hope I'll be able to read it at some point, but I
yeah,
can't yet. So, but that's yeah, yeah. So everybody has a different story, which I
hmm
think is one reason I decided to go ahead and create
mm,
my own channel. Like this. Actually, I started my channel when I was a Christian, but
mm,
but to go ahead and talk about more things like this because everybody has a different story and one of the reasons that I let want to talk more about this experience
mm,
is that I've seen a lot of comments in a lot of different people's channels where people are like, "I can't believe I believed this for so long. I can't believe that
mm,
I feel like I've wasted." And I really
mm,
want to push back on that and
mm,
say, "Of course you believed it, right? This is humans pretty much all over the world for all of time where we've had any type of kind of history,
mm,
we've believed something,
yeah,
right? And so I think that it is part of who we are. And then whatever culture you're in, it's
yeah,
very easy to just take on I mean,
mm,
we have to believe our adult friends, right? Our parents and everybody,
yeah,
right? To survive. So it is it, I just feel like
hmm
I don't feel like for myself. I mean,
mm,
I don't like to think of it as wasted time. For me, it's
yeah,
just not because it is my
mm,
culture and it's something that I've always tried to understand. And
mm.
so,
I
yeah.
don't even know how to think about that because if I didn't have the Christian experience that I had, like I said, Christianity was not cruel to me, even though now that I've deconstructed and deconverted, I can look back and see how cruel it is. It wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily cruel to me. Like I said, I had a career, I had a
Yeah.
legacy. I developed a skill in terms of I wasn't a rapper before I became a Christian. I became a great rap artist and a
Mm.
great art. I became a great author. I remember I was in
A
Bible
writer.
college.
Yeah.
In
Hmm.
Bible college, I had a professor. Like my entire high school education was I didn't pay attention much until I think it was 11th grade when I became a Christian, where I started making A's and B's. I went from making D's and F's
Mm.
because I didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
I became a Christian. Now I'm making A's and B's because now I want to know about history. I want to know about English. Da, da, da.
Gotcha.
But when I got to Bible college, I was writing. I had spent 8 years in ministry by that time as a rapper. I
Mm.
have developed my penmanship. But I remember I was in Bible college, and my professor, I think it was Mrs. Peepgrass, Professor Peepgrass. I don't remember her name. Um, but I wrote a paper, and she commented at the top of the paper, "It's a privilege to write the things that I mean to read the things that you write." And
That's
here
cool.
are yeah, and it I had never thought about being an author. I was just a rapper. I know I'm frozen in a very crazy
You're
position right
frozen. I'm sorry.
now. But for an English teacher to write that on my, here I am, a kid from the inner city. I'm one of 7 Black people in a school of 700 students.
Wow.
And so for this professor to write, "It's a privilege to read the things you write," it made me think, wow, I didn't know
Wow.
that I was that good. But
Yeah.
Christianity gave me a subject matter that I thought was so high and lofty that I had to develop my communication skills just to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was saying all that to respond to your point about, um, did you waste your life spending decades as a Christian? If I hadn't had the kind of Christian life that I had, where I had these benefits of being this author and speaker and whatever,
Hmm.
I don't know if I would look back on my decades as a Christian and not think, damn, what did you do?
Hmm.
And I hope other people, so clearly you do, I hope other people have things like I have things that make
Yeah.
them say, even though I spent 40 years doing that, it wasn't always because I helped people, or maybe it kept me out of trouble. I wasn't out in
Right.
bars all night long or whatever it is.
Right. Right.
Um, anyway, that's
Right.
just my thought to what you shared there.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like benefits, but I also know, I mean, Michael Apple, I
Mm,
stranded sunk costs are a real bastard. I I do think, just I think any way you live your life, you're probably going to have things where, you've
yeah,
wasted money, wasted time, wasted,
yeah.
and for those who are, I mean, I believe, I mean, I grew up basically very, privileged, white, middle class Christian, all of the uh, things that I
Mm,
just feel like very privileged in lots of ways. But I got actually started really with the ID conversion process just by learning about cults and
mm,
learning about how people can get sucked into them, and then they really have made lots of sacrifices for bad reasons and
mm,
everything. So I understand the the comment that I was making, that some people are like,
mhm,
I feel like I've wasted time, but I hope that us talking about it this way, that mean that there may be things that people can take from their
mhm,
experience if they are now non-believers, but I also do feel for those who were in much more
mm.
strict um Christian
Yeah,
cultures than mine.
yeah.
So
Mm,
basically I was more socially ostracized or whatever, when I started
mm,
asking questions, but
mm.
that was kind of it. It's not yeah. So
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of people that have had lots of religious trauma,
Mm,
not just from the theology, which many of us probably have, if you're talking about hell and all of that kind of thing, but but just their experience. So I just kind of wanted to acknowledge that.
yep, yep, indeed. I know there's some folks who are here who are like, "Hey, tell the story you said you were going to tell." Uh,
Oh yeah.
I'll get to the story in a minute. It's just I know
Okay.
there's some people who are probably like, "Yeah, you said you were going to talk about this." I'll get to it, and
Okay, yeah,
it's not as crazy, but yeah.
yeah, I would like for you to tell the story, and before we get too deep, because I have a lot of questions about your book and some of the
Mm,
things that you've talked about with that, and we can kind of dive in with some of that. But yeah, so but before we do that,
mhm,
uh can uh, like I mentioned, you have like at least one day a week, or you try to do a conversation with a Christian about once a week, it
Mm.
seems. And I've always really admired the way that you talk to people, and and to have the conversation, right, instead of the debate, because I listen to
Yeah.
a lot of the debate stuff too, and
Hmm.
that can get a little animist, I guess,
Hmm.
right? There's
Yeah.
people have some animosity in some of that, but the way that you talk to folks, really I admire, and I again recommend for people to go and watch that, because
Mm.
um but so, can you tell us a little bit more about why you do that, what your experience with it is, what your take on it is, or like what your
Yeah.
goals are as you do that?
Yeah, I think I just like engagement. My sister, if she watches this, she may chime in and laugh. My sister always thought that there was something wrong with me because I always tune in to, I don't know, the human experience has always fascinated me so
Mhm.
that it doesn't matter what it is. It could be the train wrecks that most people want to look away from. I peer into those because I'm fascinated by engagement. And I don't really care what the engagement is. I just want to see, what does the human being do when
Yeah,
they're faced with this issue.
right.
And so even as I deconverted, I could have just went away. I would have felt bad because I know there are others who may have the same questions, and it would be helpful for them to see me leave the faith. So I stuck around for them, but I also just stuck around because I really was curious. Like, if there was a watcher watching me deconvert, I'm sure
Mm,
they got a great soap opera just watching me go through my ups and downs, my depression, my denial,
mm,
my anxiety. When I turned to face the issues, when I embraced my unbelief, but I didn't get a chance to watch it because I was experiencing it.
mm.
But then there's something in me that's like, okay, now I want to watch. Like, I want to see somebody else. Maybe there's something, I don't know if it's the empath in me where I get to understand myself better by
Mm.
watching somebody else go through it.
Right.
I think there's a part of me that's a teacher, and the teacher in me, I learn better by teaching other people.
Yeah.
And so I think my conversations with Christians may be sort of a subtle way for me to watch the human experience that I had in somebody else.
Yeah.
If I put in front of you the things that were put in front of me, let me see what your denial process is like. Let me see what your cognitive dissonance is like. Let me see what your breaking points might be. Because in watching you go through it, maybe I'll understand my process better.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's sort of a little selfish of me. I mean, there is
Mm.
a part that thinks other people will benefit from seeing it too. But I
Right.
think there's just a genuine human interest in me that I want to see what you do when you're presented with this. And whether you say, Dad, you're right, this isn't true, or whether you fight to keep it, I'm just interested in what you do
Yeah.
as a human being with these kind of confrontations.
Well, I mean, now that you say that, I had a
Mm,
little thing click for myself, is like, the reason I have you on my channel right now at this
mm.
moment is because I I I want to know how you talk to people, because
Mm,
I'm starting to tell some people, right,
mhm.
that I just don't really believe in
Yeah.
Christianity anymore, and in some way, I will say that I'm an atheist, but I'm an agnostic atheist.
Mhm,
I don't know, but just because if I just say I'm agnostic, I'm a little bit like genetically modified skeptic.
mm.
It's like people don't necessarily understand that, or maybe they think, oh well, you might believe again,
Right, exactly.
and that it softens the
You
blow a
haven't
little
drawn a line in
bit.
the sand yet.
Yeah, yeah, so it
Mm,
does kind of exactly, and it softens the blow a little bit, but it also it can be a little bit confusing, so, I'll be like, if I'm
mhm.
really having a conversation with somebody, I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't really see how there can be any." any gods. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, but to your point, that's why I have
Hmm.
you have you here, because
Well, you know what? To
I
that,
want to know why you're doing what you're doing.
well, that's what helps me when people say, if you're debating with people, you're rushing to get your point and you're not listening while they're talking because you're waiting to say your point. You may be cutting each other off. And people think I don't do that because I'm just kind and polite. And maybe that's part of it too.
Mm.
But no, I think part of the reason why I'll let somebody talk ad infinitum and I disagree and I really want to see, like, wow, you're really gonna go that far to deny
Mm.
what's undeniable. I'm very curious as to how you can do that. And I'm
Yeah.
asking myself as I'm listening to you, is that what I was like? And how
Mm.
are there any other areas of my life where I do that same thing, but maybe for something else? And how
Right.
can I not do that? So, not to be judgmental, and maybe it sounds like, oh, so I'm just using people, but I don't, I think I'm learning from other people's foibles. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
interested in your side of the conversation, but I'm also just interested in, hmm, people can be that, you know, uh,
Yeah.
obtuse sometimes. Is that obtuse? Like, really? Okay.
Sometimes, yeah. It says it veils. I think of it as like putting veils in front of
Mhm.
you, to uh kind of hide a little bit what what is too, I guess, too scary, right? Because I think in a lot of, I mean,
Yeah.
this is such an identity type of experience, right? Your religion, your faith, your, what you've been spending your time with it,
Mhm.
and your whole, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like what kind of well, I mean, you talk about it some, but I mean, if you want to touch on a little bit of how did you tell people in your
Mm.
life that were close to you, um about losing your faith?
Hmm. Well, with my family, because most of my mother has 6 sisters, my father has 9 brothers and sisters. And
Wow.
so there's a lot on my father's side that I sort of just let them hear by word of mouth because I'm not
Hmm.
as close to them. But my
Right.
mother's side, they're all basically up here in Philadelphia, and we get together twice a year, Thanksgiving and Easter. And I
Mm.
was the one in the family who was supposed to be catching the spiritual baton from my generation.
Mm.
And so I knew it was going to send shockwaves. And before I made my announcement on Facebook, before I put the video up, I just sent the text to my family. So, hey,
Oh,
family,
wow.
I want you all to hear this because we have a running group text.
Mm.
I want you all to hear it from me first. I mean, I'm the one when the family gets together, when they want somebody from my generation to pray, it's always Brady.
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah.
one who's, whatever. I led Bible study with all my cousins for a time and all that. But I just matter of factly just told them. And I don't think there was one response, not one
Really.
response from the entire family. No. Now I did get a few aunts text me outside of the group text, say, "Hey,
Right.
I'd like to get together and talk," but nobody in the group family responded at all.
Right. Right.
Um, and so we've never really. Two of my aunts I've had conversations with since then.
Yeah.
My cousins and I, we've had conversations, but for the most part, as a family, it's been nothing.
Gotcha.
Um, but I took flights out to the people that I did ministry with, my rap group,
Hmm.
took flights down to tell them, hey, and I kind of lied to them a little bit, I think. Well, no, I won't say I lied to them. I think at that time, I was still lying to myself. This is about 6 months before I told my family, I don't believe. About 6 months before then, I sent out a text to the guys in my group, and I told them I'm coming down to North Carolina because most of them have moved down there. And I was planning to go down there to tell them how far in my deconstruction or crisis of faith I was.
Mm.
And when I got face to face with them, I kind of chickened out, or maybe I told them as much as I could without them sounding the alarm. And so I just told them I've been wrestling with my faith for the
Mm,
past 5 years, as opposed to telling them the truth, which was, I don't think I believe this anymore. And even that could still be a wrestle. I don't think I believe this
yeah.
anymore. And there
Yeah.
were some
Yeah.
days I was sure that I didn't believe it, and other days that I was, still trying
Right.
to find out how I could. So yeah, I think I kind of chickened out in saying what really was going on to the members of my rap group for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
difficult, very
Yeah.
difficult.
I was gonna say, like with friends, I think, because I don't really, yeah, I
Hmm.
don't really talk much to my family. They're just like, well, I just don't really believe the same.
Mm.
That's kind of I've been very I've been euphemistic about it
Are
in
they very
ways.
religious?
I mean, not really. I
Okay.
mean, but um, but they like my dad is Christian, and
Mm.
he says grace, every
Mm.
day. And but and when I didn't go into a lot of detail with him. I was just like, well, I just don't really, believe the same about Christianity
Mm.
anymore. And that was enough for him. He was fine
Mm.
with that. And
Wow.
so we don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, when I talk to friends, it's like I don't quite know how much to say. And if they ask like, why don't you
Mm.
and it's like,
Mm.
oh man, how I don't have an elevator pitch yet.
Mm.
It seems like
Yeah.
the things that I say, if I heard them as a Christian, it would just be like
Mm.
really surface. So I'm still, kind of thinking about like how much to say, yeah.
Are there people in your life who you're still like they don't know yet and you're still waiting to tell them?
Um, yeah, there are like some friends, that I haven't talked to, and I don't really know how much I really want to say,
Mm.
to some people. They're
Mm.
probably just here, through the grapevine. It's not that big of a town, so I think it'll eventually just kind of
Mm.
filter out some. So I don't know. I'm not trying not to worry about it very much, but I've always been kind of weird anyway. So I'm
Mm.
just like embracing it now.
Okay.
I'm getting
Yeah,
too old
and
to
you know
worry
what?
about it.
That was the thing for me. Once I told the guys in my group, um, "Hey, I've been wrestling with my faith." One of them told me, "Okay, I'm going to walk with you through this. I'm not going to let you go through this alone." I didn't hear from him again until 7 months later when I put up my deconversion video.
Oh,
Another one of them, he did call me frequently, like every other week, just to kind of talk, and I was able to let him know bit by bit
more and more.
how hardened my unbelief was.
Hmm.
Um, and because I had, quote unquote, done life with these guys for 25 years, that was the most difficult thing.
I bet.
But in
Wow.
terms of the people who I didn't feel like I like, you may be a Facebook friend, and maybe I even my music, so many people have told me world over
Yeah.
that my music discipled them.
Wow. Yeah.
I sort of just embraced that once it was time for me to go, once it was time for me to put the word out, I embraced the confrontation. I embraced the uncomfortableness. Like truth is truth.
Yeah.
And if what I was saying before was truth and it led me to travel the world and jump on rooftops and scream it, and if I offended you, hey, it's the truth. I'm the same kind of person now.
Mm. Yeah.
And so if that's not true, and I can't tell you what the ground of all being is. Well, if not God, then what? I don't know if I can tell you that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's not that thing anymore. I don't
It's
believe that.
not Christianity. Yeah.
And my truth is I reject that. And I can be as bold as I want to be with my truth of I reject that. And
Hmm.
I don't mind standing in that. And so when I put up that deconversion video, I was like, come hell or high water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
criticism be damned. I'm going to
Yeah.
live in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was freeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, leaving is freeing, I think. And folks who like I can just remember, um, thinking, how can I just didn't understand people who didn't believe,
Mm.
years and years of that. And so I understand not understanding me. I understand. Yeah, I
Mm.
get that. Like, and I can't really explain, but it's just like, I feel so much more who
Yeah.
I am than I've ever felt. So that's really good. Not worried. Well, you have to tell us. I'm going to shift gears. Then you got to
Yeah.
tell us your story because I know there's
All
folks
right.
that
So
are waiting.
before
So
I tell you, and you don't, if you don't have anything highlighted or in your mind, stand up, that's fine. I'll just dive right into it. But before I dive in, because it's sort of connected to my book, Let There Be Gaslight.
right.
But if you can, like, what is it about the book when you say, yeah, this book has been helpful to you?
Mm.
Can you just one or two things, if at all, because then I'll dive into the story of how I almost thought I was going to get kidnapped today.
Okay. Yeah, there's our little teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like right now, like there's two main things.
Mhm.
Well, maybe three. Okay, so just your experience, like you talking about your experience and like studying and the different things that you've done,
Mhm.
like it is about your own experience and how you came to where you are now. And then um I'm finding it. I'm sure it was very cathartic for you, and I'm thinking maybe I should get
Tremendously.
writing
Mm.
to
Yeah.
kind of process because I mean I've just told my story on a couple of different people's channels, and I'm like it's still not very. I'm trying to figure it
Mm.
out. And I'm like that would be very helpful. I should do
Yeah.
that. So that part, just you talking about all the different
Mm.
things, and you don't have to have like what I was mentioning, that surface kind of conversation that's like, well, it's this inconsistency and this inconsistency, and that you're like you're methodically going through
Mm.
like pretty much every contradiction or everything that just doesn't make sense to you about the actual Bible. So
Yeah.
that's really fascinating. And then
Hmm.
what I've been listening to uh recent, I did not know um about uh Ezra. I didn't. Is that
Oh.
right? I didn't
Oh, wait,
know.
Ezra.
Right. Okay. So there's Ezra and Nehemiah, right,
Mhm.
which is considered first Ezra, second Ezra, right, and that is written in about 500 BCE, in
Mhm.
that range, after right after the Babylonian exile ended.
Mhm.
So those two books. But then when you were taught, I know it's like I'm pulling out like a really
Okay.
obscure part of your book. I know. So I'm going to explain
Oh,
real
for
quick.
Ezra? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. So for Ezra, right,
Ah, yeah,
written
yeah, yeah.
in the first century
Mhm.
CE,
Yeah, yeah.
around the same time as
Paul.
like at the fall of the temple, right,
Mhm.
and the and also because they were under it- um, Jews were under is
Roman
Roman.
occupation.
Oh, I
Mhm.
can't say words. Words
It's
come
all
to me.
good.
Okay, under the Roman occupation and rule and that kind of thing. So trying to explain why Yahweh hasn't conquered yet,
Yes. Mm.
and um the so it's a Old Testament book, and that's not
Mhm.
in every Bible, right?
Mhm.
It's in mine, so I was able to go and look. I'm like, wait, what is 3 Ezra? What is 4 Ezra? Right? Or it's as in mine, it's Esdras, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But that's the so anyway. So I was putting it all together, but it's the Jewish working out original sin
Yes.
concepts.
Yes.
And then there's Paul working out
Yeah.
where original, like
Yeah.
why we're horrible people, which is
Yeah.
is I think the most traumatic part of Christianity, of
Mm.
just saying that we're just,
Yeah.
nothing without God. But
Mm.
then and that good versus evil that came from Zoroastrianism. I can't ever say
Mhm.
that word. I feel like Joel reads Bible, Deuteronomy, right? But anyway, Zoroaster.
Yeah.
But the principalities of evil, the evil versus the good, and that spiritual kind of fight. So
Mhm.
anyway, so that is what I mean, like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. So I'm digging
Yeah.
in, and I even texted Dr. Kip. I'm like, did Paul know about Ezra's? you know, and but um, but the culture, but he was in that culture that
Hmm.
produced
Yes.
that
The stuff
those
that we
two
think is
books. So,
divine revelation, like God must have
hmm,
given him this download of here's what really happened in the garden. No,
yeah,
they were all talking about this at that time. They were all trying to
right,
figure out
right,
we were doing all the things and he's still not
right,
rescuing
right.
us. And so you turn the lens back on yourself. Oh, sin must be so much more sinful than we thought. The evil
Yeah,
inclination must be so much worse than we thought.
yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
oh, like
To
it
Ezra's.
it explains so much, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is right, cuneiform guy. Uh, Original sin, blame it on the claim. But anyway, so those are
Gotcha.
the points that I'm talking about. But anybody who reads your book is going to find more things that they had not, I think, have not thought about. You know,
Mm,
even if they're diving into all
yeah.
of the debates and
Good
all of the
stuff.
things that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Well,
anyway,
here's how it
that's where I
ties
am.
into to my almost
Okay.
abduction.
Abduction. Oh my goodness.
It's not as bad as I'm making it sound, but I had a moment. So there's a professor from the seminary that I graduated from. He's a professor of apologetics. He's retired now. Written books on apologetics, and we've kept in touch. I graduated 2015. I probably have seen him maybe 5 times in the last 10 years,
Hmm.
where I'll just go by and sit with him and we'll talk. And he's read my book, and um, he actually has said, I was offended today because I'm like, yo, you said this in front of a stranger. But when I thought about it later on, he actually has said this in an email to me. So I
Okay.
wasn't so offended. But anyway, we're there. I got by his house today. We're talking, me, him, and his wife. And we're just having conversations about politics and what's going on with Christian nationalism. And thankfully, he was not a fan of, Trump and what's going on.
Yeah.
We're having polite conversations. Every once in a while, I would talk about the fact that because I'm not a Christian anymore, I don't have to think about it in these ways. I can da da da.
Hmm.
And he didn't really have much commentary. And then at some point, a guest came over. I was a guest. Other guests came over, a couple, older couple. And as he's introducing me to this couple, he starts talking about the fact that I graduated from the school. I was such a bright student, this, that, and the third. And then he says to the guest, um, but sadly, I have to say, he looked at me and he says, "What's the word you use?" I said, "Deconverted." He says, "Yeah, sadly, yeah, he deconverted." And then the guest says, "Well, as long as he hadn't deconstructed." I said, "No, I deconstructed too." And
Yeah.
then the professor who invited me over, he starts saying all the things that I thought he probably should have said to me privately before this person, but he's saying to the
Because you
guest the
never met
things.
this other
I
couple.
never met him, no.
Okay.
So he's saying to the guest all the things that I guess he wanted to say to me. He says, "Yeah, sadly, he deconverted." Um, and he's talking to the guest about me, and he's saying, um, but the thing is, uh, Brady, he's such a bright guy, he's such a brilliant guy, but uh, the things that I read his book, and the things that caused him to deconvert, I would have thought he was smarter than that, because these people have answered these questions, for years, and I just thought he was smarter than that. And when he's done, basically dissing me to this guy, he turns to me and says, "There, I said it." And I'm like, "There, you said it. Like, so you wanted to say this the entire time."
Yeah.
But then
Why
later,
are you being such a dummy?
after I left, I thought back and said, you know what? When he first read my book, he did say these things in an email to me, but still, he
Mm,
hasn't said it to me since then. And now he's saying it to this guy about, I thought he was smarter than that.
yeah.
And so I just, he's an older guy. He's, frail and he
Yeah.
doesn't walk well. So I just said, I'm coming by here just to shoot the breeze and just play nice with you.
Yeah.
like if you really want to have these conversations, so I just said, hey, how about next time I come by, we actually dive into a conversation about what answers you think. No, before I said that, I just let them know the answers are not convincing to me. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, the more I study, they're less convincing, and I have more and more questions. So I said, hey, how about next time I come by, um, we dive into a discussion about what you think I should have accepted as the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So he agreed, and so now we're going to start doing that in January. This is
Oh,
former
good.
professor of apologetics at Westminster Theological
Oh,
Seminary.
wow.
So I
Yeah.
cannot wait for this. I would love to let this be one of my conversations with Christians. But anyway, so before the guests came over, it was just me, my former professor, and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just sitting there quietly crocheting the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while she would interject, well, tell him about the time such and such. And he would do it. But she's crocheting. And I don't know, maybe in some part of my mind, I had thought to myself, I probably should, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say what I had thought to myself. If you wanted to be like conspiracy theory ish,
Mm.
it almost did have like some vibes of, I don't know if you saw the movie Heretic.
I haven't seen that yet. Yeah.
There,
I've heard about it though, and
yeah.
I've
Well,
seen a
there's
couple scenes
he
from it,
invites
but
these people these Mormons into his house,
mhm.
and while he's talking to them, every once in a while you get like, if this was a scary movie, the person whose house it is would have done what this person just did.
Mm.
But maybe it's not. Maybe he's fine. Maybe he's normal. But that was weird what you just did. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I hope they don't see this because they would think I'm talking bad about them. But as she's sitting there crocheting, I'm just like, there's a certain affect that I'm just like, this could be weird. And Michael Apple put in the
Yeah,
comments, avoid the
that's why I was
basement.
like, "No."
Avoid the basement. So that's gonna, can I share? Can I share something on the screen? I'm gonna try to share an
Oh,
image.
okay.
I think
How
I
do I
can. I think it's good. Give me a second. So
okay.
anyway, we have a good conversation. I say, hey, how about the next time, I come by, we is this it? No, that's not it. I'm trying to pull up this file. Uh yeah, there it is. Okay. So I say, next time I come by, we dive into a discussion about where we disagree. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I go into the kitchen because now it's just me, my former professor, and the husband of the couple that came by to visit them.
Mhm,
So the
mhm.
three of us are talking for a while my professor's wife and the wife of the couple, they're in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I get ready to leave. I shake hands, I hug. I said, let me go into the kitchen and say goodbye. I go to the kitchen and say goodbye. And she says, the wife of my professor says to me, um, so you're tall. Could you help me help me pull the attic down?
Ah, and you're going, uh.
And I'm like, sure, because at that point it's just reaching up and pulling something down. And so we navigate over to this door where the steps lead up to the attic. I'm like, oh, this isn't just a rope. Pragmatic Crystal put nope. I'm like, so in my mind, it was, oh, there's just a rope hanging. I just have to pull it down and we're good to go. No, that's not what it is. The stairs that lead to the attic are behind a doorway. So I'm like, okay. So she's explaining to me, and it's the weirdest thing. She says, okay, so you have to open the attic like this. And on the other side of the attic, it's attached to a rope that's on a pulley, and there's a rock that holds the door open. I'm like, and then she prefaced it with, this is a very old house. And that's just not something you want to hear when you've already got like, scary movie vibes going on. This is a very old house.
Why does she want you? Because
Well,
only a
they're
tall person could
well,
do
first of all, they're
this?
older. He's 81. and
Okay.
she's,
Okay.
probably in the same neighborhood. And oh, and she told me they're traveling next week for the first time in several years. And in the attic, she didn't say this at first. She just said, "Can you help me pull the attic down?"
Yeah.
As we go over to the attic door, what she really wants is not just for me to pull the attic down. She wants me to go up into the attic because they need the suitcases from out of the attic.
Okay, sure they do, right? You're like
So
like,
can you
is she
bring
holding a skeleton key in her hand, ready to lock it behind you?
so can you so now it's not just open the attic and pull it down. It's open this door. I'm gonna show you the picture. I said you gotta let me take a picture of this attic. Now part of my mind was like, and you should send a text to somebody right now, letting them know where you are.
Yeah, yeah.
So here goes. I open the door, and this is the attic. Can you share that? I just put it in. So those steps, they look like they're going down. Those steps are not going
Oh,
down.
they're
Those
going
steps are going up.
up. They're really steep, yeah.
All right.
Oh, and you
So
gotta push that
you push this up,
wood.
and on the other side of the door, there's a there's a rope attached to a pulley and a rock on the other side that holds it. So you need to open this up and then bring the suitcases down. Now
Okay.
remember, you don't get to these stairs until you go through a doorway first.
Mhm.
And so I'm
Right.
thinking to myself, like, man, like, is this how I'm going to die? Like, if I go up these stairs, what's to stop her from shutting this door? And this is
Yeah.
the last time the world has ever heard of Brady Goodwin. Now, this is a sweet old Christian couple.
Yeah,
Wouldn't hurt
yeah.
now. So,
No, it
so
is
now,
funny
granted,
though.
so there's more coming to my mind now because I'm thinking to myself. In our conversation, I asked my professor. I said, "Hey, so you're 81. What's left for you to do? Bucket list kind of stuff." And he
Yeah.
says to me, "Well, no, I know you probably think, I'm just a really nice guy, but I've hurt people too." So he said this to me in our conversation that he's got regrets because he's hurt people too. And there was nothing to lead him to say that. So now I'm going up these stairs like, wait, you hurt people. Am I going to open this attic door and find the people that you hurt?
Oh, you got imagination, but it's not too far away though.
Yeah, you can take it off the screen. That's just
Okay, that's
I
too
open the
funny.
door, I go up there, and I bring the suitcases down, and everything is fine. But for a moment, I thought to myself, this might be the end of my story.
See, you shouldn't have watched. You shouldn't have watched The Heretic. That's
Right.
the thing, right? Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I would do want to watch it, but sometimes
Mm,
I have to be like in the right mindset, and I
yeah.
knew that it was like really really creepy and scary, and I don't want to watch it
Yeah.
by myself. And I've actually learned a lot of I'm like one of the one of the first uh I watched a lot of ex-Mormon content, and
Mm,
I still do. So, I've learned a lot about Mormonism and all that stuff. So anyway, so I'm sure
yeah.
I would really, really like it, but,
Yeah.
oh man, that's
Indeed.
kinda wild, that's kinda wild.
So I'll
Okay,
probably have
wait,
more
now,
stories.
how does this connect to the book? Because he was
Yeah.
like, "You're these things you're
Yeah,
saying
like
don't really."
and the only reason why I even would allow myself to think, because they're like I said, they're a sweet old couple. Why
Mhm,
would they ever think to harm me? But he's already made it clear he's got issues with my book. He wants to talk.
mhm.
I say, hey, let's talk about the things that you think I should have known better than to ask these kinds of questions or whatever.
Right.
So it relates to the book in that
I'm sorry, I have to
that
show
would be
this
his.
one. AR, come on. Okay, sorry, Gary.
Yeah. Um, if he needed a motive to take me off the planet, it would be because of his not approving of my
Mm,
book. So
yeah,
anyway, that's
yeah.
that's the connection.
Well, hopefully that is not how yeah, his feelings aren't that strong about
Nah, they're
about
a
it,
sweet old
but,
couple. They're a sweet couple.
yeah. Yeah, I think, what I will say, and again, I wanna, would like for you to talk a little bit more about your book, but, one of the things that, I just got tired.
Hmm.
Right? I was just like, "Okay, but okay, well, there's this contradiction, but then you can explain it away." But I got tired of trying to figure out ways to
Yes.
explain or just like, well, well, I just don't have to believe that part or that part. And yeah, I kind of, uh, when I was still attending church, I kept saying less and less
Mm.
and less and less of the creed, where it's like, I believe in God, and that's kind of where it ended. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like I think we used the analogy on my channel before. It's those songs like bingo, where every time you say it, you leave off a
Oh,
letter,
yeah,
and
yeah,
before you
we
know it, you're
did.
not saying
Yeah,
anything at all.
exactly,
That's sort of how it
exactly.
is with the Christian who's, oh, I can't amen that anymore. I'll just say
Right,
the rest of it. Oh, I can't
right.
amen that and that. I'll just say the rest
Yeah,
of it. And before you know it, you're not saying any of it anymore. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I get it.
So I'm sorry you keep freezing. Is that my
No,
connection or
I
is
think
yours?
it's my internet because it happens when
Uh,
I'm on the channel by myself sometimes. So
oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know why.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
alrighty. You don't have snow. Is it snow?
No, it happens on the most beautiful of summer days. This
Mm,
happens where, yeah.
okay, okay.
But I think I
Yeah.
have figured out my microphone hasn't messed up the entire time like it
It
does.
hasn't. Yeah.
And I think I figured out because now I went back to using the headphones with the wire as opposed to the wireless ones. And I
Oh,
think the wireless signal was in some kind of way
interfering.
interfering with the mic. And I don't know how to get that to stop happening.
Must have been. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Pragmatic Crystal, thanks for coming through. Good to see you.
All right. Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You didn't have to kick
Yeah.
anybody tonight, so that's good. um so so I guess I just want to I think I've asked you this like 3 times, but I want to hear more about
Mm.
um your experience in writing the book and
Mm.
why you wrote it. Is it because you really wanted to explain all the things? Like, tell me a little bit about.
Yeah. So I did a lot of reading. Coming from Westminster
Yeah,
Theological Seminary, I hate reading. I've always hated reading.
really.
Um, Part of the reasons why I hate reading is because I'm very analytical and I don't just read things, I process every sentence.
Yeah.
I spend tons of time on a sentence because I'm memorizing, I'm interacting with it, I'm asking questions of the author,
Hmm.
I'm thinking about how would I ever use this information in a conversation. And so it takes me forever to get off of one sentence. So I hate it.
Hmm.
But in the process of writing this book, I read so many books in a year's time. I was reading about a book a week, and I've never been that kind of person.
Did you read it like that, or did you like have to like really speed
I
through?
no, I read every book because as I was pulling quotes, what I didn't want was for me to pull a quote from one part of the book, and then someone come to me and say, "Yeah, but on page 23 he says such and such." So that character,
Mm,
so I wanted to make sure if I pulled the quote from page 144,
yeah.
there was nothing else in the entire book that would undo that quote.
Mm,
So
mm-hmm.
if I found a source, I read the entire source just to quote one line.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's the kind of project this book was for me.
Wow.
Um, and so because I wanted to have the conversation that I thought my professors were not allowing me to have. My professors kept giving out all of these thought terminating cliches and all of these, like I said, gaslighting ideas. No, I want to take
So
the,
so
yeah,
you were talking to your professors. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you were talking to your
yes.
professors about your experience and why you were
Well,
having cognitive dissonance or you were questioning.
I'm sorry. What I'm doing is I'm giving you what was happening in my head
Oh,
because
okay.
I only talked to, excuse me, I only talked to two of my professors.
Okay.
And then one professor that I never had, he was a professor at another school.
Mm,
I
okay.
talked to this guy,
Right. Right. Right.
but I read a lot of their books and books of others. And as I
Mhm.
was reading them, like I said, I'm not just reading you, I'm having a conversation with you.
Gotcha.
But as I'm having a conversation with this author, but I read this author and he says something different.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And you're responding to him in your book, but he responded to you in his book. And like you all are having this but I'm going to be the third person in this conversation, and I'm going to make you all have a real-time conversation with each other in my book.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
Yeah.
I kind of had a conversation with my professors by bringing their points all together in my work and showing If you got the Spirit of God and you got the Spirit of God, and you studied to show yourself approved, and you studied to show yourself approved, and he says that you all supposed to be one, have one mind,
Mm,
like he and the Father have one, why are you saying this and you saying this? And here I am saying, I think you're both wrong because your ideas are canceling each other out again and again and again.
yeah.
And so that was the process of the book was I'm going to try to force all of these theologians, these Old Testament scholars, these Hebrew scholars, I'm going to try to force you all to have a conversation in public in my book. And then the reader can just read for themselves and see
Yeah.
here's where all the issues are, here's where all the disagreements are. Now, what do I think about this? You don't have to land where I land,
Right.
but you also don't have to go and read 500 books like I did. You can read this one book and see the positions and decide for yourself.
Yeah. 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 I I guess that's something that I do appreciate about it. And I, reading the beginning of it and your experience, I thought that was what the book was going to be about. And then you dove in
Mm,
to, all these
yeah.
different things. And I'm like, oh man, this is fantastic. This is really great. And I'm actually listening to it
Mm,
as well. I'm going to have to get the print copy because the way that I read books is by writing all over them. So
yeah.
I'm probably going to get the print copy as well
And,
because
and this,
I'm going to use it as a reference as far
I
as
think you
like being
could.
able to. You definitely can.
Oh, this is one of the things I tell people. So when I put the book out, the reason why I started the podcast was I put the book out, and there's a guy who goes by the name of Vocab Malone. He's an apologist. He
Vocab
got
Malone.
Vocab Malone. He was a
Okay.
Christian rapper, so I think the
Okay.
name comes from
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But basically, there's a team of they call themselves urban apologists, inner city apologists,
Mm.
and a slew of about 50 of them responded to my book. But most of them didn't read the entire book. Vocab Malone assigned them, hey, you read chapter 3, respond to it. You read chapter 7, respond to it. You read chapter 12, respond to it.
Oh
So the
no.
guy who read chapter
Yeah.
12 is calling me out for all these fallacies, not realizing that the things he thinks I don't address, well, I addressed that in chapter 2. When I said
Yeah.
this in chapter 10, I was bringing back a point that I covered in chapter 8.
Yeah.
And the kind of artist that I always was, like I had an album, for instance, called Party Over Here.
Hmm.
And on Party Over Here, every song on the album was a different kind of party. So there was
Mm.
a block party, a going away party, a praise party. Like
Yeah.
when I get an idea, I'm kind of relentless and obsessive with my ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you just hear one song or one line, if you watch my entire album, or not watch, listen to the entire album, you realize, oh, this song was a response to what I said in this verse, in this song over here. Like it's an entire body
Yeah.
of work. You
Yeah.
can't take it
Right.
apart. And
Right.
so
It's
with Let There
connected.
Be Gaslight, chapter
Same thing.
12 doesn't work without chapter 2 or 3. You're like, it's all
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah.
so I say all that to say, for the person who says, oh, I'm just going to get it because I want to read what you say about evolution. I want to read what you say about the New Testament. You got to take the entire thing together because
Mm-mm.
I'm weaving a tapestry that the
Right.
further you get into it, you see how it all plays together.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Which is actually, it's fascinating too. I think that's one reason I haven't quite finished. I'm like on the very last couple of chapters,
Mm,
because I have gone back, right,
hmm
while I've listened to it, and so it's slower for me. Like I can read a book really pretty fast. Like I
hmm
have two different ways that I read, and one is like I just want to get like the gist of it, so I'll just
Yeah.
read through and not make any notes, um and then I've got I have those friction pens that are
Hmm.
color pens that you can
Okay.
erase, and
Wow.
so I use
You're next
I
level with that. I've never even heard of
oh
a fiction pen.
oh yeah but they changed my life, man. I love
Hmm.
them so much because I used to write, in my books, starting in graduate schools when I started doing it, because I had a professor. I borrowed one of his books, and it was the first semester, I think, and I borrowed one of his books to read. And he had, at the beginning of every chapter, he had a summary of what the chapter was about,
Hmm.
like a one sentence, abstract
Hmm.
basically of, and then he marked in the book some, and wrote at the top of the page some, and I was like, why am I
Hmm.
not doing this? Why am I not doing this? Is amazing. Because then, so
Yeah. Yeah.
then I started
Like your own
like,
crib notes.
Yeah, yeah, and if I was reading fiction, every time a new character was introduced, I put the name of the character at the top of the page. So
Oh
that way
wow.
I would could go back when I was flipping back through, I could say, okay, this is when the character came in, right? And I could like, yeah. And so anyway, and writing the margins and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I do those that two different ways, but with listening to a book like this, it's like it's
Hmm.
taken me a lot longer because I have gone back and listen to this again and listen to that
Mm.
whole chapter again. I'm like, oh wait, now what did he say there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's been, yeah, it's definitely,
Yeah, I
um,
hope it's rewarding for people to kind of go through these things and just see, like, at the very least, these are the things that you can research further on your own. But if
yeah,
I could string it together to help you see, like, to connect those dots, I'm honored to play that role.
yeah, yeah, it's really helpful. So, if you guys can't tell, I'm really recommending this book now. I'm just telling you. And it was 2022 that you
I
published
wrote it
this.
in 2022, and then
Okay.
when I did the audiobook in 2024, I ended up doing a second edition because they were all kind of typos.
Mm,
Um,
gotcha.
and there were Christians who actually called me out on, hey, this source didn't say what you said it said. Um, maybe I quoted it wrong, or I didn't quote it verbatim, or
Yeah.
I maybe said something I probably shouldn't have said. So I actually got a chance to update it in 2024. So I hope
Good.
you got the version after 2024, because that's the no. If you got the audio
I got
book,
the audiobook.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
definitely
All
got the
right, so I'll get the one from 2024 then when I get the print
yeah.
version. So,
That's all that's
um,
available now anyway. So yeah,
yeah. So, Aunt I mean, that's why there's an audiobook so you
yep,
can listen to it. You
indeed.
can you can, yeah, you can listen to it. So, alrighty. No, I've got the wrong thing here. Um, yeah. So, are all the other books that you've written, were
Mm.
they when you were a Christian? Or
Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
really?
There's
Okay.
only one of them. No, two that I think I can redeem. So two books were on sociology, nonfiction books on sociology. One is called Navigating the N-Word, where I talk about the use of the N-word in hip hop culture. I recently went back through that book and de-Christianized it
Hmm.
and made it more secular humanist. There's a school that still uses that book that buys, quite a few of them every semester. Um, and they also use another one of my books that I have not de-Christianized yet. So I'm going to work on de-Christianizing that book soon. Um,
Okay. Which
uh,
which one? I'm sorry, I was making
yeah,
Aunt
yeah.
Jera. I've given her a wrench. Sorry when you were talking. So I'm so sorry.
There's a book called The Death of Hip Hop, Marriage, and Morals.
Okay.
That's the one that
Okay.
I have not de-Christianized yet, but it's a sociology book. You don't get into Christianity until the last couple chapters of that book.
Okay. Because
And
you
the
were
book
trying, weren't you trying? You were trying to make an ethics program that
I
was
had, yeah, I
not
had made
based,
it
not Christian based, but kind of. y- I mean,
right.
right? Yeah.
The It's called Hip Hop History and Ethics. That's the program that I developed.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was written so that you could usher faith into a conversation, but a
Hmm.
Muslim could use it just as much as a Christian.
Gotcha.
But the books, the nonfiction books that I wrote to help you figure out how to teach it, those books slant towards Christianity.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
so I've
Okay.
de-Christianized one. I have not de-Christianized the other. But then the fiction books, they are Christian fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a third book in the series. There's a two-book series called City of Allegory. There's a third book that I wrote that I didn't publish because I deconverted while I was writing it.
Mm.
And so it's sitting on my laptop.
Yeah.
And there's still Christians who want me to finish it and publish it.
Yeah. And you're
And I'm
like,
like, I'm not going to do it unless I can find a way to de-Christianize it.
gotcha. Gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I will probably eventually uh let me know, let us know when
Mm,
you redo the ethics one, because
yeah.
one of the things that I thought of doing um in my studies was basically a secular type of program for
Hmm.
um, learning ethical methods for,
Yeah.
for high school, middle
Oh yeah.
school, high school
It's
kind
more
of
than
students.
needed.
So
It's more than
yeah,
needed. Yeah.
yeah, and I was kind of working on that, and my dissertation was actually going to be what were the ethical um, what were the ethical generalities that children were getting from the Harry Potter novels,
Hmm.
and that's what I was gonna do my dissertation on. So,
Yeah, nice.
yeah, yeah, but I
Yeah.
didn't finish that, but that's okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's it's kind of fascinating because kids were reading them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's a reason why these are.
What was your program again?
My program was in religion and ethics.
Oh, yeah, so
So
we
my
gotta do another conversation on that because I just think that'd be a great
okay.
conversation. We can do that in the near future.
Alrighty. All
Yeah,
right.
for
Sounds
sure.
good.
For
Sounds
sure.
good. We'll do that. So, well, I think I've kept you long enough. I think we'll go ahead. Oh, there's Bree. Hey. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it'll be online, Bree,
Yeah,
so you can
rewind.
watch
Hit the
it. Yeah,
rewind.
yeah. I've got to watch. I didn't get to catch you live this week either, babe. So I've got to go back and watch yours. Yeah, and the same with you, Brady. I wasn't able to. I have
I didn't do
symphony.
anything this week,
Oh,
so
you
I didn't
didn't?
do anything
Okay.
last night because I knew I was coming on here tonight, and
Sweet.
I'm flying out to my sister's wedding in Vegas, Thursday.
Oh, I hope that goes well. That's good.
I gotta say
Um,
what's up to Michael Apple. What's up, man? Thanks for being here.
yeah, it was good to see you. Yeah, I in the summer I was catching you a lot more of the lives, but I teach violin and viola
Oh,
and
wow.
also piano, and so that's afternoon evening kind of thing. So
Mhm.
I don't get to catch everybody in the evening, and Monday nights are symphony nights, and I know you usually go on
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah. So I'll be
Well,
able to
thanks
be
for
more
having me
back.
for
But
sure. It was a
thank you so
pleasure.
much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, and
Yep.
y'all check that. Well, scroll up please for all of the links and that kind of thing, and I guess I'll go ahead and do this little thing here real quick because I have 467 subscribers. I'm getting really close to 500. Woohoo.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
only need 2,000 more watch hours for but if you would like to send me a note, you can on
Mm.
Venmo if you want to. So there you go, take a look. Okay. All righty, y'all. Great to see you. Thanks again for being here. And I'll catch you in a couple of weeks when I have another live. So
Peace.
y'all take care.